Welcome back to my Formula One Power Rankings of the 2025 season. Today we will rank the drivers after the Canadian Grand Prix. And starting in P20 we have Franco Colapinto, who stayed there compared to last rankings, but he probably had his strongest weekend so far, overtook Doohan in the championship because he got, I think, his second P13, was clearly faster than Gasly in qualifying and race, and this is quite impressive under the pressure he got after Briatore said if he is not performing he will be swapped. Alpine got probably again the slowest car of the weekend, so P13 is pretty solid, but he needs to continue to beat Gasly or be close to Gasly if he wants to keep his seat. P19 is Liam Lawson, who lost a place compared to last rankings, and after two solid weekends in Monaco and Spain, this weekend was kind of a disappointment. He exposed his quali weakness again. I think in the race the V-carb was pretty slow, but Hadjar made Q3, so this is the bar he's being measured to. He needs to drive to continue his career because Lindblad right now got his super license, and for Red Bull he's the next exciting project, and we know how fast Red Bull is changing their drivers, so Lawson has to pick up some good results. P18, Gabriel Bortoleto gained one place compared to last rankings. He had another solid weekend but still has no points on the board. All in all, I have to say his pace is promising, showing a good rookie campaign. He's not that far off Hülkenberg, I think, pace-wise, but the points are 20-0. So his point is to understand why Hülkenberg's always the one scoring the points and learn from this and basically learn how to score points. In P17 we still have Lance Stroll compared to last rankings where he was also P17. I'm impressed he made it actually to the race after an operation. Quite impressive, shows that he wants it, but quali pace was again not really good. He made no progress in the race, had another collision with Gasly where he got a penalty for. Alonso is continuing to climb in the driver's standings and Stroll is stationary with his points, he's not gaining any points. His task is to understand the good races he has and get them more consistently, because he has good races from time to time, but they are just like 1 in 10 races, so he needs to get them more consistent. Also, he won't be fired by his dad, so probably doesn't even care. P16 is Yuki Tsunoda, stayed there compared to last rankings, and without the 10th place grid penalty he got because he overtook Piastri under the red flag. I think he is getting points this weekend. He was closer to Verstappen in quali, I think it was only 6 or 7 tenths, which is kind of the gap Perez and all the others had before. He made some progress in the race, but I also saw a stat that without Verstappen, Red Bull would be dead last in the constructor standing, and this is mainly Tsunoda's fault at this point, a bit of Lawson's as well, but he needs to improve, that's what I have to say. In P15 we have Pierre Gasly, stayed there also compared to last rankings, had probably his worst weekend of the season, no quali pace at all, and his teammate was faster for the first time. I'm starting to question his motivation, probably because his car is not competitive at all and maybe he's waiting for next year already. I get it, that's difficult to motivate, but maybe also he had just a bad weekend. We will see in Austria. P14 is Oliver Bearman, also was P14 in the last rankings. He was sliding around a lot, but was still faster than his teammate, who in the end got points and Bearman didn't. But also I think Bearman did not have a great strategy. P11 with the Haas, especially where the Haas is right now, I think is still pretty solid. And I think you can take the comparison with Ocon and Bearman like with Bortoleto and Hülkenberg. I think Bearman especially is showing that he's having good pace compared to Ocon. But compared to Ocon he also doesn't have a lot of points, so he needs to understand basically how to score points in Formula 1 consistently. P13 is Carlos Sainz, lost 2 places compared to the last rankings. Was a bit unlucky in Q1 because he got blocked by Hadjar, but he should not have to rely on this last shot to get into Q2. Of course, you are always improving, but his first Q1 lap was just not good enough. He made really good progress in the race. made the strategy work and finally got a point. But he only scored this point because Lando Norris decided to crash into Oscar Piastri and did not finish the race. So got lucky, he got points, but in the end he got it, so you have to give him credit for this. P12 is Nico Hülkenberg. He gained a place compared to the last rankings, and he also scored back-to-back points after Spain, where he got P5, now he got P8. He did another opportunistic move on lap 1, gained 2 places there, and I think this was the basis for his result. The Sauber is getting better with the upgrades, and Hülkenberg is kind of showing why he's named king of the midfield, or at least I'm calling him like this. P11 we have Lewis Hamilton, lost 3 places compared to the Barcelona rankings. And similar like Barcelona, he had a solid qualifying, actually was faster than Leclerc, but poor race result, was kind of a no man's land between the top teams and midfield. He got damaged because he hit a groundhog, and the groundhog unfortunately didn't survive. And I saw some data that it cost him like half a second a lap. So it's difficult to rate his race, and I think only he dropped 3 places because others were improving so much compared to the last rankings. But he has to get to grips with the Ferrari, otherwise he will drop even further. P10, and in the top 10 for the first time this season, is Fernando Alonso, who gained 2 places compared to Barcelona. And right now we're seeing vintage Fernando outperforming his car, destroying his teammate. Of course the Aston Martin improved, but he's the only one who's delivering results. Of course you have to give him credit, but also Stroll is Stroll. And for me it's only a matter of time when he will overtake Stroll in the driver's standings. So P10 for Fernando Alonso. And in P9 we have Esteban Ocon, also gained a place compared to Barcelona. He got the points out of nowhere, and we have to say again, his roller coaster season continues. Like Hülkenberg, you're asking yourself, how is he that high up in the standings? I think he right now overtook Hadjar again, so I think he's P8 or something like this. So quite impressive, and also impressive because Haas probably has the most inconsistent car. And speaking of impressive, in P8 is Kimi Antonelli, our 3rd youngest podium scorer in F1 history, gained another place compared to Barcelona. You also have to say that his car was quick this weekend, and he was quite a lot behind George Russell in qualifying. But it was still impressive that he held back the 2 McLarens. He overtook Piastri, of course, as well at the start. So he deserved his podium, and he deserved his spot in the ranking in the top 8. P7 is Isaac Hadjar, who was also P7 last time. He had another impressive quali, but of course got the penalty, and the well-deserved penalty for blocking Carlos Sainz was of course not his fault, but the team's. He had his worst race result in a while, which is kind of clear because the car was not that fast in Canada, but also his performance probably was not the best of the season so far. In P6 is Alexander Albon, who was in P6 also in the last ranking. The speed this weekend was there. He got some technical issues in qualifying and also the race. In the race, finally he retired. So I think it was also the same issues as in Barcelona, they said. He tried a weird strategy with a long stint on the medium. Not sure this was going to work. I think he said it himself in the interview. His first lap was kind of messy again. He lost place, I think, to Hülkenberg. And I have to say, the last 2 rankings I did, he was kind of living from his great start to the season in Barcelona and Canada. So he needs to improve again if he wants to stay in P6. Charles Leclerc is still in P5, had another bad qualifying, which is quite unusual for him. And of course the big crash in FP1, where he couldn't participate in FP2. Also was having a few of these crashes in the past, but he did a good recovery in the race. Was probably more possible with the strategy he wanted, but he didn't get. But I think also in the 7th Ferrari season he's having, he should be able to make strategy calls against the team's opinion. I was thinking the same last year when Sainz overcalled the team and he didn't, and I think Sainz in the end won the race. Spot where he can maybe improve. And P4, maybe the biggest loser of the weekend, Lando Norris, lost the place compared to Spain. And he had another poor Q3 after being quicker than Piastri in maybe all the sessions before. Questionably, he was quicker in the race as well. because he got there to Piastri and tried to overtake him, and his first attempt to overtake him in the hairpin was quite good, I think. It made him be side by side for the entire back straight, and I think it's a good sign that he's trying to fight, but in the end he did an amateur mistake, bad decision, which made him collide with his teammate, cost himself and the team 10 points. And it honors him that he's directly saying it was his fault, but I think there was also not another option. P3 is George Russell, the most impressive driver this weekend. He gained a place from last rankings. He did a brilliant Q3 and great race execution, and I think he's deserving this victory very much. And Mercedes was really strong this weekend. Russell is generally in great form, a bit like Verstappen, and both of them have an outside chance in the championship with more races like this. He did also a kind of risky move under the safety car, which made me question if he tried to get a race ban for Max Verstappen, but in the end nothing happened, and I think also Max was not commenting much on this. And speaking of Verstappen, of course, he's still P2 in the ranking. He did a brilliant weekend after this big error in Spain, and I think right now he will regret Spain even more, because with the points in Spain he lost, it could be only a 34-point deficit to Piastri and not 43. I think this race he should have finished P5 or lower in the car he had, but he needs a series of podiums to be in a championship fight after the summer break. This should be his goal right now, and we will see with the cars and maybe Piastri getting under pressure. But speaking of Piastri, of course, he's still P1 after his worst weekend of the season. He extended the championship lead he has by 12 points, and this is stuff that champions do. And with a better start and also a better qualifying position for him, it would be even possible to win this race. He was positioning great against Lando, and he has no blame in the collision. I think it was only Lando's fault, and also Lando kind of admitted this. So these were my driver rankings after Canada. I will rank them again after Austria, also the teams, and until then, have a great time, and see you guys soon.